Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a 2022 Kia EV6 Wind, and today I'm going to review it for you guys. Yes, that's right, the name of this trim is the Wind trim. I have no idea why. I imagine they were in the boardroom meeting and they're like, quick, we need a earthy sounding trim name to prove that our car doesn't consume those awful fossil fuels. And then someone went, oh, the wind, like Mother Nature. Oh, I love the wind. It's perfect. And that might not be how it happened, or maybe it's exactly how it happened. Cool car, weird name. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Allentown Kia for providing this vehicle for me to review. If you're in the market for this particular model or any Kia, I'll leave a link to their website, allentownkia.com, in the description below. Starting out up front here on the EV6, I want to commend the front end. It's a very sleek looking car, and I'm really proud of Kia for not going with the new electric trend of just making absolutely everything on the car a light bar. Well, at least they didn't do it in the front too. I think this styling cue makes the Kia EV6 look a lot more unique compared to its competitors in the electric segment. Here on the headlights, you'll have full LEDs with LED daytime running lights and LED headlights. Down here, you'll have parking sensors and then a camera incorporated into the front not grille, and then the Kia emblem right above that. I really like the new Kia logo. I think it looks particularly sleek, and I'm proud of Kia for changing up their design and not making a big deal about it. Buick's like, please recognize that we're different now. We're not your grandpa's car. We're different. And Kia was like, nah, we're different and you can take notice without us banging you over the head in our marketing campaign. So I really appreciate that. Moving underneath the hood, there's actually a fair bit to talk about here. Traditionally, on most electric cars, they just have a small storage area and that's it. But the EV6 is pretty user-friendly because there is access to your fluids, your fuse box, your battery, and you can even change out the headlights yourself if you'd like. That's not a complicated process. A lot of electric cars kind of hide that away underneath panels and stuff, but the EV6 makes it pretty easy to get to most of those simple maintenance items, so I really appreciate that. But they have not forgotten a storage area. Right here, where this would traditionally be an engine cover, you can open this up and you do have a small storage area right here in the center with a little light and the Kia emblem. I suppose I'll talk about the horsepower and torque numbers here, because on other cars that are non-electric, this would be the section where I would talk about those numbers. So this particular Wind is an all-wheel drive model, and that has 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque. Pretty respectable, especially for a little electric Kia. And that adds up to about 274 miles of electric range. Now, if you're like, I don't really need the all-wheel drive model and I'd prefer a longer range, that's also a possibility. You can get this in rear-wheel drive with a different battery. You can get up to about 310 miles of range. So there really is an EV6 for everyone. Moving to the profile of the EV6, starting here with the wheels and tires, you'll have 235 55R tires around these really nice 19-inch wheels, and they kind of have a party trick. Now, if we look closely, there's only 5 small slots in the wheels, but with the black paint job that this has, it kind of gives the illusion that they're larger openings. That really helps with aerodynamics and helps preserve the kind of sleek airflow design on the side of this. So I really like that detail. And then I also like look at these fender flares. This cool kind of textured design. I mean, Kia really went out of the way to make a beautiful car, and it is just so sleek. I love all of the lines. Like even on this mirror, it's kind of got that cut design on it. I think it looks so nice. And then you'll have your turn signal indicator spanning the entire thing, and a camera down here for the 360-degree camera system this comes equipped with, and blind spot monitoring. And then as you can see, the door handle right here is completely flush with the body. What you do is you press in on this and then you pull out, and that is how you open the door on the EV6. And then this also does have keyless entry as well. Now, if we move down the rear, I know I touched upon how I was not the largest fan of the light bar in the back, but I actually think this does it pretty well. I think it's a pretty sleek design overall, and I think that it does admittedly look pretty cool from the rear. I just think that every single electric car seems to be like, light bar, and I'm like, just do something different. And so I think, like I said up front, the EV6 does stand out in a lot of different ways, styling wise. Now, if we look at the key fob really quick, we're gonna touch upon some of the other buttons. Come on, focus, there we go. We're gonna touch upon some of these buttons right here momentarily, but I do wanna focus on the fact that you can hit it and open up the rear lift gate here. This is probably one of the cooler hot hatches that I've reviewed recently, and you do have a good amount of space back here to store stuff, and you can pull these manual latches, and those will drop your second row seats, which is nice. Gives you a huge amount of storage back here, which is always nice to see. And then there is a button to drop the lift gate right there. So overall, I think the exterior design on this EV6 is quite beautiful, and it does definitely stand out in the sea of newly released electric cars. And now to talk about those other buttons I was alluding to. In addition to lock, unlock, panic, and the ability to raise your lift gate in the rear from the key fob, you also have the ability to pull the EV6 out of a parking spot. So let's say it's a really tight parking spot. You don't want to try to get in there, scratch anybody's doors. What you can do from the key fob is you can hold this button down, and that's actually going to bring the EV6 forward. It makes this little noise to kind of let you know it's coming forward. Now I'm controlling it right from the key fob, and if I just let go, immediately the EV6 stops, and you can also back it into a parking spot if you'd like. When I hit reverse, it starts chiming that it's going backwards, and that is a pretty nifty feature. So you would remote start it from the key fob and then just hit the button, and you can go back and forth and back and forth. It does take a little bit to get going, but what a neat feature. Isn't that so cool? It kind of creeps along, and then if I take my hand off the button, boom, donezo, and it sits where it is parked. So what a great and a cool feature. I love to see this being adapted on cars that are not generally known for their luxury. This is kind of a really cool feature to see on a Kia. Let's do it one more time. Let's back it up a little bit. Back it up. Come on, back it up. Yep, I know. Voila. Moving to the interior of the EV6, it feels incredibly premium in here. Starting here with the door panel, this is soft touch up here. And I mean, look at this nice chrome trim that blends right into the door handle. I mean, what a cool attention to detail. And then here you'll have your power seat adjustment memory buttons. And then down here you'll have your window switches. Your front two are power one touch up and down, and then you'll have your lock, unlock, your mirror controls, and then your button to power fold the mirrors in and out, which is always a nice convenience. And then down here, this is soft touch as well, and a very nice place to rest your arm. Then if we move up here to the steering wheel, not sure that I love that this has a lot of piano black buttons, because I'm sure those will get smudged very easily, but I must commend Kia on the premium look of them. And you have these really nice little chrome dials for your channel changing, your different menus, and then your volume, stuff like that, your Bluetooth. That's all available, as well as your radar guided cruise control and your lane keeping assist. And then down here on the steering wheel, you hit this and you'll have your different modes. So normal, sport, eco, and then you can hold down that button if you'd like the snow mode that this is equipped with, since this is the all-wheel drive trim. And this screen pretty much tells us everything. I mean, really, really interactive with what you can do. First off, I want to point out right there, it says we have 213 miles of electric range left, which is always really nice. At the bottom here, it says what our battery percentage is and what mode we're in. And then, of course, you have your digital speedometer right there and what drive mode we are in. This is obviously, it's in park. And then, you know, the other traditional stuff that you would see on a regular gauge cluster. So your lights are up here, your lane keeping assist, stuff like that. And then you can toggle between the different menus on here to see your lane keeping assist, your attention to stuff. Just really, really cool to see all the different options and available features on here. And then you have paddle shifters, which is surprising, but very welcome. And then you'll have your windshield wiper stocks and your turn signal stocks. These feel pretty premium. The cool thing with this is if I turn on my turn signal, it's going to give me a blind spot mirror camera right there, which is so nice. Love that Kia and Hyundai have implemented this. I really hope more brands implement that in the future. Could definitely save lives. Really, really useful feature. And then down here, you have this, like, look at how cool these air vents are. They are way cooler than they deserve to be, and I love them. Down here, you'll have your different lighting controls. You can hold that button to open up the trunk. You have your electronic parking brake, your traction control off, and then this button right here pops your charging door open, and that's going to be on the passenger side of the EV6. Then if we move up here past our gauge cluster screen, we have an infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto incorporated into it. Very, very spiffy, very quick screen. I think it's really responsive and nice. I think the just how spiffy it is really nice. If I unplug my Apple CarPlay here, this is our traditional screen. You'll have navigation incorporated into that, climate controls right there, your EV mode. You can obviously do the phone projection and the traditional radio if you wanted, but there's a lot of different options on here. Even if you didn't want to have Apple CarPlay displayed, you can see your little car right there with the battery percentage. And then below that, you'll have your hazards with more cool climate vents. And then down here, you'll have your dual zone climate control. What I really like about this is like a flush, completely flush panel, but see if you can see this, it actually switches between different settings and modes. So it's like a little screen that you have here. And I think that is really neat and very unique in the car industry. You don't really see that too often. Don't know if I'm a huge fan of having the navigation and the map stuff and the climate controls on the same little strip. I think I would probably be using the climate controls more often, but it is a little confusing to have radio, map, everything like that, like sort of hidden in here. And I understand that it's going for kind of the flush, modern look, but it would be nice to have maybe a separate row of buttons for that. Speaking of buttons, though, right here, you can see heated, ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel are incorporated on this EV6. And then down here, you'll have USB and USB-C, then another USB-C and a 12-volt. You can see my charging cord to display the CarPlay is right there. And then this is really neat. So no traditional push button start right here. This is very driver focused, very driver centric. So the push button to turn the car on is actually right here, which I love. I think that's fantastic. You just put your foot on the brake and we are good to go. And it tells you, hey, look, everything is ready. See, it literally says ready to drive, because you wouldn't know because you're not getting that traditional engine turnover noise. But down here you have your shifter. What we can do is we can shift into drive. It'll tell us that what drive mode we're shifting into on the screen. And then you can just tap for park. Again, it will tell you park is engaged. You're in the park mode. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, but I definitely think that over time it'll be easier to understand and manage the longer you would drive this car. Now, if I throw this into reverse really quick, you can see there is a 360-degree camera system and a very high quality backup camera with guiding lines that turn when you turn the wheel. Love to see that. Always a nice feature and something that I would expect no less from on a luxury electric car like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit park, so that throws it back into park. That takes it off of our screen. Then you'll have your parking camera button right there, your auto hold, and your rear parking sensors. So the parking sensors will beep when you start getting close to something. So that's, again, nice to have. You'll have wireless charging right here, 2 cup holders. And then if I open this up, you'll have a nice little storage area with the water bottle in it. So that's really convenient as well. And then moving up top here, nothing too crazy to write home about. This particular model does not have a sunroof or moonroof, anything like that, but it does have these really nice dome lights. Look at how they come on so luxuriously. So they just kind of fade on. Oh, it's so premium feeling. And then you have your Kia Connect and your panic button right up here to call emergency services if you need that. But overall, I mean, this interior feels really premium. The seats feels super premium. You have this really nice headrest that extends back here. Just really cool design. I love how Kia went for this really neat, innovative look on the interior here. Let's take a quick look at the back seats. Moving to the rear seats, there is a very good amount of leg room back here and a fairly solid amount of headroom. Definitely comfortable for adults back here. And there's some nice amenities. As you can see right here, you'll have USB-C on the seats, so you can just plug in right there. There is no USBs in the center of the console right there, unfortunately, but you do still have it incorporated into the seat. And then if we pull this down, you do have your 2 cup holders and a nice little armrest. Alrighty, driving the EV6. I have it in sport mode because I really wanted to see how this thing handled. We're gonna get on the highway, open it up here for a couple of minutes. It's so quiet. And on acceleration, oh my word, this thing flies. Just pedal to the metal, it goes. And there's nothing. You don't hear anything. It's incredible. And the handling, as we switch between lanes here really quick, is, again, very buttery smooth. Steering is very tight. For being a little bit bigger of a four-door, I guess you would call it a hatchback SUV crossover, that's probably the word I'm looking for, it feels tiny, and I don't really feel like I have a lot of blind spots. It feels pretty open in here. Looking over my shoulder, that C-pillar is a little big, but overall it feels very open in here. The seating position's great. I like how you can move the headrest back and forward. I think that's genius. I don't know why more cars don't do that, but I think they really knocked it out of the park with this EV6, really bringing it in the electric game. You know, Kia could have just really sat back, rebadged one of their cars, kind of like they've already done. Rebadged, I think it's a Niro that's fully electric now, and you know, it's fine, it works, but they were like, no, we want to go one step further and have this EV6, which is beautiful and has the really cool sport performance. Man, this thing really wants to get up and go. Obviously, being in sport mode, that makes sense, but this thing really just, you're tapping the gas and it's like, yes, give me power. And I really like that. I think that's really neat. Braking is pretty responsive too, which is what you'd want from a car this powerful. Alrighty guys, that's gonna wrap up my review of this EV6, but before I go, I'd like to read some scripture for you guys. I'm gonna read Psalm 37, 1 through 2. Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.